Hello, everyone. Heather Ash here, and I've been doing these Wild, Willing, and Wise Wednesdays, a half hour, and I totally missed the one today because I went through two time zones drove for 13 hours yesterday, and missed completely the time zone shift. So, hello. I thought I would just jump on live, and as you can see, I'm a little scattered because I hate missing things. But I'm so glad that we could do it this way. So, hey to everyone that's on Instagram and to everyone that's on Facebook or YouTube. Wanted to give a little update on the road of how things are going with the Wild, Willing, and Wise tour. I started on August 6th with the first tour in Santa Fe for the new book. Here it is. And since then have been across the United States, up the East Coast, and then we just did a big cut from Wisconsin across, and I'm heading to Arizona now. So today was really helpful because I did laundry. I cleaned out the trailer. I grabbed a bunch of stuff that I don't want to travel with anymore, and I'm leaving it at a friend's house. And I'm about to head to Sedona to teach a workshop, pick up from my friend Sarah, and then we're heading to the West Coast. And then up the West Coast, picking up my friend Autumn, dropping Sarah off at her house, and then heading down back towards Santa Fe. So if you haven't heard about Wild, Willing, and Wise, it's my 9th book. And I know a lot of you have been coming to different things, and so you've heard a lot about Wild, Willing, and Wise. But it's a guidebook. And what's so wonderful about this particular book is that it's really fun, it's lighthearted, but it's also very deep. It gives us a good framework and support for learning how to find balance, especially when times are really rough. And so one of the things I've been learning as I've been traveling with the book is that it's growing and changing as we share it with more people. So while a book is a static thing that is in print, because this one is a workbook, it's very dynamic. And one of the things that I've learned as I've been teaching about it and sharing with it and listening to people share their experiences is that books and information morphs. It doesn't stay static, because as more people interact with it, more information, more insights, more surprises, and also things that like I missed in the first writing of the book. I'm like, oh, that would have been a great thing to add to the book. But now, as we're interacting, I can share it through podcasts that I'll be doing about Wild, Willing, and Wise, and through lives and through the Wednesdays. So again, I'm doing every Wednesday at 11 Eastern, and Wednesdays for a half hour. Wild, Willing, Wise Wednesdays, 11 Eastern, for a half hour. And I will get caught up on the time zones eventually. As I shared, I missed the one today because I've been on the road and crossed 2 time zones and just forgot that it's really 9 o'clock my time when we're supposed to be starting. So here is a handout that we've been sharing at all the book events, and I'll share what book events are coming up, that goes through each of these qualities, wild, willing, and wise, and helps us to find our balance. Now, one thing that's really important for me in the work that I do is that we often read books or get teachings and we use them in a conditional way against ourselves. We think that there's a right way to do it, that we have to do it perfectly, that we have to start from page 1 and work through the entire book, that things that don't really pertain to us, we have to somehow make pertain to us. And I am much more unconditional in understanding that we all learn in different ways and that there's no one right way. And that's really true with these 3 qualities of wild, willing, and wise. I talk about balance being these qualities in the middle, and then the 2 rows on the other side are when we're more out of balance, of excess deficiency, excess or deficiency. But sometimes we actually need excess and sometimes we need deficiency. So it's not that this means you're good if you're here and this means you're bad or you're wrong somehow. It just means you're out of balance, or you actually might be exactly where you need to be with those qualities. So I want to talk today about wise. the last two Wild Willing and Wise events that I did, I talked about wild and a little bit about willing. So today I want to talk about that quality of wise, and we'll share this recording as well. So when we're connected to our wise, we are spacious, we're calm, there's a sense of patience, really deep patience, that we're not trying to rush or fix things, that we know things take time, and that we can rest into that sweetness of the present moment. We're still, there's a level of calm and stillness that we can find in our bodies, that our minds are quiet and resting into this moment. We're really present when we're connected to our wise. We're grateful. We understand that this life is incredibly precious. And so there's this softness that comes, that we rest into ourselves, and our minds are quiet, and our minds listening for what's the next action to take, and that action comes from our heart, not from our past or our worry of the future. It comes from our compassionate connection to now. And we're also visionary. There's a level of visionary quality that comes when we're connected to our wise. And what I mean by visionary is that we see potential and possibilities. Our minds are really open to anything could happen, and also that we could dream up different possibilities, that we can vision options and wise openings of what may happen in the future. When we're deficient or in excess of wise, we can get dogmatic and stuck and fearful. And we can also get really controlling, of trying to control ourselves or others or the world. And there's a level of dogma. So that's one thing that I want to share today about as we ponder how to get back into relationship with our wise, that we know we're in alignment with our wise when something challenging happens in our life, where we get what I think of as squeezed, so that we're triggered in some way, that a hard situation arises, and that in that squeeze, what arises, maybe not right away. Sometimes you're squeezed and there's like an initial fear or upset. And when we're balanced and connected with our wise, what happens when that squeeze happens is that there's an opening, and what arises is compassion. Okay, that's how we know that we're in touch with our wise, that there's a compassion for ourselves, a compassion for our human experience, a compassion for how complicated the world can be and how challenging things can be. And there's this understanding that we're all connected, that we're not separate individuals trying to figure it out, that we're all connected, and we're all seeking and yearning for love, for companionship, for safety, for shelter, for food and nourishment at all the different levels. And that softens our heart. And it also helps us to be in the present moment when we're to respond to something. When we're out of balance with wise, we often get stuck in the past of that should be this way, or we get stuck in the past of our own agreements and beliefs. So, example, if I am saying to somebody, "Oh, I've already done that. I've already tried that and it didn't work." And there's this constant kind of negating of possibility, because I feel like I've already done that. I've read the book, I've gone through the experience, whatever it is. Then I'm actually stuck in the past. I'm referring this present moment to something that happened before, rather than saying, I've tried that. Let me open to see if there's another way I can look at it. There's a way that when we're connected to our wise, we understand how important the foundations of teachings and our ethics and values are. That there's a foundation of the baby beginning steps that are always incredibly important, that we go back to over and over again. When we're not connected to our wise, we're like striving always for what's the next thing, what's the next rush, what's the next wise thing. And we can start to look outside of ourselves to find wisdom in other people or other things. And our minds can start to say, and I've done that thing, and so now I need the next hit. And it becomes addictive, actually. Spiritual paths can become addictive. Recovery can become addictive. There can be a place where instead of integrating what we're learning and resting into it and understanding the power of the foundational pieces in our lives, that we start needing a bigger and bigger rush to feel like we're doing something, or to feel like we're spiritual, or to feel like we're accomplished. And it is lovely to do deeper and more advanced teachings. And I highly recommend that for all of us, that we challenge ourselves in wise ways. And that wise way is connected to our base, our root, our foundation of whatever path and teachings that we're on, whether that is, a daily meditation practice, or a walking practice, or exercise, that we understand that there's some things in our healing path that we want to do over and over again. Eating good food, having conscious conversations, and that those foundational things are wise. And that from that base, then we also stretch into new areas that we haven't experienced. We challenge ourselves. We walk towards our fears. We try new things. We get out of our comfort zone. And that we're doing that really intentionally. That intentional getting out of our comfort zones from a wise place, we're then watching how we respond and react to things. We're curious. We're like, what happens when I get out of my comfort zone? Do I get really triggered? Does an old agreement show up? So there's this level of awareness, which is foundational, that we continue to build on as we claim our whys, as we find balance with our whys. And that awareness allows us then, when the challenges arise, stay calm, stay present, and look at what is arising in here that needs my attention, my love, my compassion. There's this incredible, joyous level of compassion that arises in our being as we lean into our whys, because we're seeped in gratitude for all the experiences. We know that this life is so, so precious, and that every experience we can use to deepen our love, deepen our present, deepen our groundedness. And I think that's one of also the hallmarks of wisdom, is that we learn to use our experiences to help us become more grounded, loving, and present, rather than filtering everything through our judge, our victim, our critic, thinking that we need to be perfect, comparing ourselves to other people. That is all lack of wise. So what I've been sharing is a little taste of the new book, Wild, Willing, and Wise. And every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific, I'm sharing a half-hour nugget. You can sign up at wildwillingwise.com/Wednesdays. I'm doing the live today because I missed the event, because I'm in Mountain Time now, and I traveled through 2 time zones. So, oops. So I thought, well, I'll jump on live and share. So again, if you want to get onto the Zoom calls every Wednesday, it is wildwillingwise.com/Wednesdays, and I'll be doing live Zoom calls, half hour every Wednesday until October 2nd through the tour. So let me share a little bit more about the tour. If you haven't been following along, I've been on a 2-month, 25-city book tour for the new book, Wild, Willing, and Wise. And I'm currently halfway. I'm heading to Arizona. I've been on the East Coast. Now I'm heading to Arizona to teach, and then I'll be heading up the West Coast, Ojai. So Sedona is next, then Ojai, Davis, California, Northern California, up to Oregon, New Renaissance Bookstore, one of my favorite bookstores, and then across to Washington, Tri-Cities, Adventures Underground, and then down Boise, Salt Lake City, Denver, and Boulder, and then back to Santa Fe for the last stop on the tour, which is on October 4th. So you can get more information about the tour. wildwillingwise.com lists everything. And I would so love to see you if I haven't seen you yet. Yay! Oh, I'm so excited to see you in Boulder, Colorado. That's great. And bringing my sister for the first Warrior Goddess experience, wonderful. Yay! So yeah, there's lots of opportunities. Again, I'm now moving towards Southwest, West Coast area for the second half of the tour. And there's also, if you can't join live or if you want to just stay in touch with the energy as we tour, you can join me every Wednesdays for Wild Willing Wise Wednesdays. That's at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. And I'll do also updates from the road. Franklin came, my dear friend Franklin came and met me in Chicago, and we drove to Wisconsin together, did our Wisconsin event, and then drove down to Missouri, and I just went to the caves there, the Merrimack Caves, which was so fun. And then we did a bomber run 13-hour drive yesterday. So, whew, I think we went through 2 time zones. So later today, I'll be heading over to Sedona and teaching there this weekend. And then the tour continues West Coast. Aw, sorry, Shirley. I'm sorry I missed you as well. Yeah, no worries. Well, I'm glad that we could connect online here, and just blessings to everyone that has joined on the tour in the first month. And I'm looking forward to seeing those of you in the second month as we continue forward on the Wild, Willing, and Wise book tour. It's so fun, and every event just gets a little bit more fun and interactive and joyous. We just did one in Wisconsin at one of the Warrior Goddess Joe at her place, Helios and Luna Healing Center. And oh my God, the laughter, the interaction, the insights, the ahas were so fun. It was just such a gift. So I'm looking forward to the next stops coming up. Sedona, Ojai, and Ojai is going to be a really wonderful, anyone who is in the Los Angeles or Southern California, take a day and come to Ojai, to the Magic Hour studio that my dear friend Zena runs. She has a new studio in Ojai, and we'll be doing an event there. So Ojai is on September 14th, a Saturday, September 14th. Davis is on September 17th. That's Northern California. And then September 19th, I believe, is New Renaissance. September 20th is Tri-Cities. And then I go to Boise and Salt Lake City before getting down to Denver and Boulder events. And then October 4th, the final event is in Santa Fe with Unity and the ARC bookstore. So check out the tour, wildwillingwise.com. Many blessings to each of you, and I look forward to connecting either online or in person very, very soon. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bye-bye.